Lloyd Blankfein of Goldman Sachs. Most people have heard of him, of course, and Goldman Sachs has a very tarnished reputation now amongst the common people. The goals, as always, are always more money. So the goal is actually once you create that one goal and you reach it and you reach that bar, the bar is set higher and you must reach the next goal. So that's the game. So in effect, it becomes type of predatory game because you're simply thinking about money and not looking too deep into a lot of other things. Now, I know Lloyd Blankfein has a lot of worries on financially. I know he's very wealthy, but still, that treadmill is going very fast, but he's a very intelligent person. And he also has bodyguards. His 4 bodyguards and dogs and stuff like that because of worries. Now, a lesson for the top people in this country actually can be gleaned from the Romans. And it's very interesting that the power struggles that occurred back then can very much relate to what happens today. You should not be envious of Lloyd Blankfein. I would guarantee you that. Because many people beneath him can betray him in a million different ways that he would never suspect, despite intelligence. And, it could be in the financial world, it could be people working for him, and various things. When you think you have a handle on things, you may not. Sometimes very simple things, when people have a lot of respect for a person, they're usually a lot safer. But there's always disgruntled people. This is interesting because this comes from the Roman times. Quis custodiat ipsos custodes, which means who will guard the guards themselves, which sometimes is translated who watches the watchman. In other words, yes, I know Lloyd Blankfein has physical guards and things like that are guarding his person, but his real guards are the people that are financially around him that are doing the calculations and other types of things that know inside information about Goldman Sachs. Now, you notice there's a lot of people jumping ship on a lot of these banking organizations because they seem to want to disassociate themselves from a lot of problems that are going on. And they see that the whole financial empire may collapse. So they want to get the hell out before they become personally involved and they're in the limelight. I want to point out something else. That money does not actually buy anything. And this is actually from the Praetorian Guard, which is the elite Roman guard, which usually consisted of a legion that personally guarded the emperor. And they were like the best of the best in most cases. Didius Julianus in 193 AD, he purchased the empire from the guard, right? Basically from the Praetorian Guard. I think this is the most important lesson. I'll go over this one first. And was soon deserted by him. It's almost like you cannot bribe the military that much. You actually have to have their respect. They actually have to have a belief that your leadership is good, that you're doing something right. You just can't purely do it with money. And see, that's the problem of the people that are in the large investment houses. Their brains are geared strictly towards money. They have no concept. And you know what? The power actually rests in the military. See, this is where these people may be goofing up big time. And when there is a problem in the United States, it's probably going to go full circle just like as it was in the Roman times. Augustus, he created the Praetorian Guard, commanded his complete loyalty. That was the first Roman Empire. Actually, well, Caesar could have actually been the first Roman Emperor. But that was Caius Octavius Augustus. Nero was eventually deserted by the guard. See, when you lose respect, they desert you. Galba was murdered by the guard, whose ascension donative promised on his behalf by Otho and Tigellinus. He refused to pay them. So you could pay them, and they could still kill you because you don't have their respect. Actually, the Praetorian Guard in the first couple centuries was a very good thing. After a while, it became known for intrigue, murder, and all this type of stuff, which might be what's going to happen in the United States at one point in time. This is one thing that actually Gerald Celente predicts, and yeah, he's Italian, so maybe some of this stuff comes on his head a little bit because he thinks about what happens in Rome, possibly. But Rome is a very good example. We actually, the United States is actually the new Rome in a lot of ways. There's too many similarities. Otho, this was actually the year of the four emperors. We had Galba, Otho, Vitellius, and Vespasian in 69 A.D. Otho, elevated by the guard, was ferocious, who fought ferociously for him. Then he committed suicide. Vitellius was disposed by the guard, then executed. So a lot of things happen. You know, when you think Domitian, his election was supported by the guard, but who remained fiercely loyal to him, especially as increased his army's pay. But he was killed by influential palace freedmen. So in other words, there was dissenters in there. It's like you don't want to piss off too many people. No matter what you do, you probably are going to piss off some people. So sometimes the most aggressive find themselves in really bad predicaments. And you know, actually, all these people that were emperors, they were highly intelligent people. They were not stupid. I mean, in the case of Claudius, the guard just elevated him against the Senate because they decided, you know, they were basically rebelling against the Senate, and they just threw Claudius up there because that was somebody they could control. But in most cases, the people on the top in Rome were highly intelligent. But this is a very important point. Didius Julianus, 193 A.D., he purchased the empire from the guard. And what happened? He probably lost their respect. Money does not cut it. It's like you have to have the respect of the military too. So, you know, in the case of Lloyd Blankfein, you know, there might actually come to a point where if there's an actual complete financial collapse in the West, a lot of these people that are high up maybe find themselves on a military tribunal looking at a military judge for crimes. And it's not going to be something they can actually say anything about. Now, I don't like that idea because I think that's Putin's style. Putin was basically like that. And what happened is, you know, he put out a lot of big guys in Russia and used the state to do it. And actually the state is basically a criminal organization in itself. I would not want to see things like that degenerate like that in the United States. But I would also urge a lot of these people like Lloyd Blankfein to you know, think about the overall aspects of a lot of their actions, because what's going on is, you know, you create too much dissent and too many problems, the entire system is going to collapse. And that's something you don't want even for yourself or for anybody else, because you will never be able to achieve your goals if the system collapses. But I do think that in a lot of ways that people who are in these positions, they do tend to outsmart themselves. That seems to be the thing. You know, it's not just who watches the watchers. I mean, there's a lot of people underneath him probably that are dissatisfied, I would imagine. But it's not just a matter of who watches the watchers. They tend to outsmart themselves. And it's bad for business all the way around for everybody. You know, Goldman Sachs, actually, I don't really have too much of a problem. I don't think they're so super evil, because I've been attuned to attaining goals. Basically, that's what it is. It's about attaining goals. But, you know, at one point in time, these goals are so high, it's like there isn't enough money on the earth to put into the coffers of these people. So, you know, the goals aren't going to be met, and there's going to be a lot of infighting. So at one point in time, the whole thing's going to come down. But it may come to a point where there's actually the military is actually going to be calling the shots, and you don't want that to happen. So that's something to keep in mind.